Yeah. So, but right now I am in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a dear place to me. And this is where my mentor, Francis Hull, came from. And we do have a picture of him. And a few people, older types from Madison, would know his name. He was a soil science professor here. And he initiated, yes, that's him. He would sing songs of the soil. And that's actually my mom in the background. That's why I have that photo. My dad probably took it in the blue there. This is 20 years ago. My mom's hair would be white now, but that's at a Northern Half Yearly Quaker meeting there. And so that's how I met Francis when I was about 10 or 11. He taught me that nature is alive as an inner experience. So we were having Northern Half Yearly meeting. That's the northern fringe of Quakers up in the upper Midwest would get together half yearly, every half year. And we would and decide things or just have fun, get together. And that year it was in Wausau, Wisconsin. And we went by train. I remember that there was still a train, pre-Amtrak, whatever, going to Wausau. And I remember how exciting it was getting on the train and the steam. It was in the fall, I think, and the steam coming off the train and getting on with my friends and my friend's mom. And we went all the way to Wausau. And then we had Northern Half Yearly meeting in the Wausau Historical Society, which is an old Victorian mansion in the town there. And it's under Rib Mountain, which counts as a mountain here in Wisconsin, which is 1,800 feet high.
It used to be bigger.
It used to be bigger, right? It's a volcano that's, as Francis explained, he was a soil scientist. It pressed up the earth and it created Wisconsin, basically. All of Wisconsin, over to Minneapolis, in fact. It's all you can see. So over in Minneapolis, it's like limestone, then sandstone, and then there must be basalt hanging in here somewhere and then finally the basalt, and that's Rib Mountain. So it's an invisible underground mountain. He explained all this. I was just fascinated. He was a soil science professor here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day in fall. I still remember the red oak leaves hanging on the red oaks. I was back a couple of years ago, and sure enough, the red oaks are all being taken over by the sugar maple succession forest, but they're still there. And I was right. I remembered that, 50 years back. And and Francis was just filled with joy, it seemed like, and he just was jumping from rock to rock. And after a while, this feeling came out of him: nature is alive, nature is alive. And I knew it was true. I knew it was like an inner experience. In fact, Quakerism, they always emphasize the inner spirit, inner voice. And it was like, wow, this is like the real Quaker thing. Nature is alive, nature is alive. And I knew it was true. And I also knew I had to believe, or I would never experience the spiritual truth again, because that's what it was, because you have to believe in it. You can experience it, but you have to believe in it. And so having to believe and
leap of faith.
Yes, leap of faith. And so from that, then I knew nature is alive. Nature is a female being, by the way, I knew at that time. And over the next couple of years. And another thing, I knew that you could not, it's like the first law of empathics, of empaths. No, don't hurt the other person, because you will be hurt back in return. And that's that level. It's the soul world, or the soul of nature, the soul of the planet. And on that level, everything is, we are related, we are all related, and whatever you do will come back onto you. So that was what I learned that day, and that added over the next couple. I was about 10 or 11 then. And I do believe, talking to my friend Susan, she had this same experience when she was about 10. She was jumping down the back steps at her parents' house and jumping, and she just felt joy. And she saw a squirrel on the sidewalk, and she said, and she all of a sudden she realized, oh, nature is alive. Wow. If nature is really alive, then that squirrel is not going to be afraid of me. It's going to allow me to walk right up to it, and it will not be afraid of me. And she walked right up to it, and she had to walk around it to go down the sidewalk. It was not afraid of her. So she said, I'm a tester. So I had to test everything. But that's how she established, she believed in it for sure. We both kind of conclude this is a natural experience for pre-adolescence, perhaps. Like when you're young, age 7 to 11, 12, 13, your soul is developing, or your sense of yourself and your inner, and then maybe you could connect with the whole soul world. That's what happened there. So it was about 20 years later, I had to go to Madison, and I hadn't been there yet. And, but as a kid, and I visited Francis at his house near the Yahara River, which I'm close to right now, on the isthmus of Madison, for those of you who know the city. And I visited him, and I thanked him. Yeah. And I thanked him for teaching me all that. And I said, and he said, yes, that was a beautiful day. And it was like, yes, it was really a beautiful day. But he didn't take credit. He didn't say, oh, yes, and I taught you, he was more modest. And he said, and I told him how I taught herbalism and practiced herbalism, and that was a vehicle for helping teach that nature is alive. Nature is alive. And that was my real kind of hidden motif. And he sat back and he said, you have chosen well. People crave that experience, to know that nature is alive, and they can't get it, and they want it. So you will always be in demand. And I was sitting there kind of stunned, kind of like, wow, nobody but a Quaker elder would tell you that you made a good decision to become an herbalist and teach that nature is alive. So, but that was wonderful. And so Francis passed on, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. And there is a website, and I remember. So I'll tell some Francis stories after a while. Maybe we'll hear from Susan what your experience of nature as a living being. It's going to be quite a difference, or maybe similar. I don't know. So, and we're interested in feedback from people on chat line too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that story. I grew up in an area that was, somewhat wooded, and in Prince William County, outside of Washington, D.C. And I had this patch of pink lady slippers that grew in the woods. I really didn't know, as a child, that much about them, but I just have these incredibly vivid memories of communicating with them. And that has been, I think, like a spark and a guiding experience that has, always grounded me in this deep belief of plants as ancestors, and then to kind of have all these experiences in my life, meeting and spending time with people from indigenous communities around the world, and having moments where they reiterate not just the plants, but also the rocks are seen as living ancestors. So then, to sort of embrace that idea of animism, the earth as a living entity, and then within that, these ancestral beings that we interact with on a daily basis, right? So, I couldn't be there today, but several different communities within California and the California Native Plant Society are releasing Saging the World. It's like a 25-minute movie about what's going on with white sage, not just in California, but in Mexico. And it's really beautifully well done. I can't wait till we can share it with a broader audience. So stay tuned on that. But in that video, talking with different indigenous communities within California, they just reiterate how plants to them are ancestral beings. So, yeah, I love this topic.
Thanks for joining us. If you are interested in learning more, you can visit our website at matthewwoodinstituteofherbalism.com. You can find all of our social links in the description below. Also, please subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with the latest videos.